Okay, hello everybody. This is Sharonda again. Today is August the 11th. It is a Thursday, and this is my Spiritual Sentence podcast as well as YouTube presentation. And as I mentioned, I was going to be talking on more topics in regards to the paranormal, occult, and supernatural. So this podcast as well as this YouTube channel is a open social discussion on supernatural, occult, paranormal. I speak on a variety of topics in regards to that, and I'm going to jump in. I also like to state before I begin that this podcast is for entertainment purposes. Um, so today's topic we're going to speak on is empath. What is an empath? You may have heard of the term empath. You may have not heard of the term empath. So I'm going to give you a definition of an empath. What is an empath? Well, it's a sub-term or a smaller term of empathy. Empath is a person with a paranormal ability to apprehend the mental or emotional state of another individual. So, it also mentions a person with a preternatural ability to apprehend the emotional state of another individual, one who feels the emotions of others. So, many people are empath, but I don't think they know, or even been told. But that's basically what it is. When a person can sense the sensibility of others, like you can pick up on the feelings and the emotions of others. I'm going to give you examples. Signs that you are an empath. You cry when others cry. You feed off of others' energy. You worry about what others think of you. You feel everything deeply. Friends often ask you for advice. You have many highs and lows. You pick up on vibes instantly. You're naturally a healer. So just social situations leave you physically drained. You treat your pets like humans. You're highly sensitive. Your emotions have made you physically ill. Put others' needs above your own. Your love is over the top, human lie detective, like no one can, you would just know it's an instinct, it's an internal instinct. You prefer deep conversations over small talk, overthinking everything, I'm guilty of that myself. The news is painful to watch. You absorb emotions. You're a great listener. And so those are some of what it is to be an empath. Okay. It does have spiritual empath here. This There's a difference between having empathy and being spiritually empath. It's a it's a lot more deeper. It's a lot of it's more spiritual than you would know. Um, it's just that simple. So we're gonna go into an empath is a person highly attuned to the feelings and emotions of those around them. Empaths feel what another person is feeling at a deep emotional level. So they have the ability to discern what others are feeling, which in turn goes around with empathy. But to be an empath is beyond that. I think most people in life, through common sense and common knowledge, would know when something may hurt a person's feelings or uh, make a person happy and things of the sort. But empath is a lot more deeper. It's more soulful and spiritual. Like it's like an internal spiritual thing, kind of like a lie detector. It's when the senses and the intuition has been enlightened. So it's far beyond just exhibiting empathy. We always exhibit empathy. I think even the most vile as a person exhibits empathy, but it's to be an empath is far supersedes empathy. So what is empathy? Well, empathy is when a person can judge your feelings, when there's, you're able to pick up on the feelings of people. Intuition. Empaths have a great sense of intuition. They trust their instincts and often go with their gut when making decisions. So they tend to be guided by great decision making. Karen. Now, to be an empath, it mentions that typically empaths strive to make sure that other people have the things they need to feel safe, secure, and happy. I think most people are like that. Sensitivity. Sensitivity, you're more aware of sight, sound, smells, other physical sensations than other people. Um, it says they're sensitive to certain scent smells. They're easily distracted by noises and things of the sort. This right here, it gives let me see if I'm able to pull up some more in depth, because this is more or less, it speaks about empath, but empath is more in depth than that. So I think what I'm going to say is spiritual empath. That's what I'm going to say. Because it entails a whole lot more to just showing or exhibiting empathy for people. Age and eventually die once they bring in all of the height of their form. And don't feel bad. This all happens over billions and billions of years. Now, first thing to remember, stars that produce less energy glow red. These stars are relatively cool. Typically, an empath, you have a lot of energies that gravitate to you. You'll notice how you'll have a lot of people that may have fears or problems or things that tend to gravitate to you. You can feel the emotions of people. Like you could just be sitting somewhere and all of a sudden God will put an image of a person in your head and you may begin to cry or weep. That's basically what that is. It's apart from when you are out of character. I mean, when you are out of your personality or how you normally are. And you will know when something is going on with a particular person because you begin to take on certain impressions. Typically, empaths are afraid of setting boundaries. You can feel emotionally drained. A people pleaser. Typically, they're a people pleaser. They try to fit in. They try to be, a lot of this may not be applicable to you because at one point in time, I think most of us feel like a people pleaser. I mean, that's normal. The way life is conditioned and the way society is set up. I think we will all at one given time or another would be a people pleaser. But it's more spiritual. It's just more spiritual than you would know. So I'm trying to gain more clarity for you to understand exactly what it is. Spiritual empath. A spiritual empath is someone who has heightened awareness of the emotions and feelings of others. They are also very attuned to their own internal emotional state. Some might say that they have finely tuned intuition and gut instinct. A spiritual empath sees into another person's soul. This can be both an amazing gift and cause them great pain if they become overwhelmed by what they see there. So, furthermore, a spiritual empath may be able to receive more than is possible for the average person. This can includes people's thoughts, feelings, intentions, emotions, and ways that seem like their psychic abilities. The ability to perceive more than is possible for the average person. This includes sensing presences or energies from other realms. These may appear like psychic abilities or vibes. A spiritual empath is usually someone with a deep sense of empathy who understands others better than most. They have an innate need to help them heal when they hurt, which often happens. They will work hard at understanding one another so that everyone involved feels heard and understood. So, what is a spiritual empath like? Well, people who have this type of empathetic ability tend to feel deeply and understand much more than the average person. They will often need to help others and heal them. So, characteristics of an empath: feeling another person's pain, but not necessarily feeling as your own. So, as I mentioned, like you can go in someone's home and you all of a sudden just feel the need to cry. And that will give you a sense that something may be transpiring within this location. Walking into a room when an argument has ensued, you can cut the tension like a knife. A heightened awareness of the emotions and feelings in others, including both positive and negative ones. An intuitive sensitivity that extends into realms beyond our physical body. So it's God giving you insight about things. It's a heightened insight about things. It's supernatural. It's like words cannot explain it. You just have to go through it to understand it. The things that has been told to you, um, you would know it's not the truth. And I think they keep things away from you so they would know if this truly you would know who's gifted versus who's putting on. Feeling another person's pain, as I mentioned, but not necessarily feeling it as their own. Empathy can be an all encompassing experience that has much less to do with how one feels about what one's seeing. So, as I mentioned before, God will have me focus on things that typically are not of interest to me. It's not necessarily that I don't care, but this is way of providing me confirmation about what he puts within. Um, Sometimes you can get overwhelmed by the emotions of others. Um, Sensitivity. Again, you have a strong intuitive sensitivity that may encompass psychic like visions, sensing presences or energies from other realms, such as ghostly entities. This is God's way of enlightening you on things. Typically, when you have people that are like this, like a lot of times they're not big communicators. I'll be honest about it. I'm not the biggest communicator. I've learned, over the course of the last years to be more communicative than I have been. But I guess what I'm getting at is you don't gossip. Like you don't go in to try to get the good joke, so to speak. So God has his way of providing you with understanding about things without you coming up and just right off asking some things that are best unsaid. And if you are begin to wonder about certain things, then he's going to make that apparent to you and a spiritual sense of it all. Um, so if it says what to do if you are an empath, well, spend time with people you love and appreciate. This allow your empathy to balance itself by grounding yourself in the good things of life. Practicing self-care techniques, meditation, and yoga. This will help increase one's sense of well-being, as well as working on balancing energy flow within the body. Take a break from overstimulation when necessary. Friends, arguments, social media posts. Remember, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but not all opinions need our validation or attention. Learn about your empathetic ability and work on developing it to better understand what you're capable of. There are different types of empathy or empaths. How to protect yourself as a spiritual empath. Um, it may be necessary for the person to distance themselves from draining or abusive others, which can be challenging if they're experiencing empathy. Um, so, in times such as that, it may end up triggering anxiety or depression. As a spiritual empath, you may exhibit psychic attacks. Now, I get these on occasion, and as I begin to do my spirit work and get more or less into spirituality, it has subsided a lot. I can honestly say it has subsided quite a bit. And when I begin to block a lot of energies out of my space, it helped a lot with that psychic attack. Because psychic attack is real. It is real as real can be. And when you go under, I just put it this way, it's a psychic attack essentially is a battle for the mind. It's a battle for the mind. So you will begin to infiltrate all of these thoughts that comes in. And this is very, very overbearing. Like he is kind of like an OCD. That's the best way I can explain it. When you're so fixated, there's a difference between being fixated on something, but this right here is more. I mean, it's just constant, 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 constant. And so with spiritual empaths, you're often to more psychic attack. It's important to be mindful of the types of energies that are surrounded by or you're reading. This is because spiritual empaths aura will often not reflect who they are, and this can make people who love and appreciate you. Um, this will allow your empathy to balance itself by grounding yourself in the good things in life of what spaces they're entering so that they know how their empathetic abilities may affect them at any given time. It's important for an empath to be able to ground themselves from feeling too much. It isn't always possible, but there are techniques available. Yoga, meditation, and grounding exercises will help provide balance. A spiritual empath needs opportunities where others come before themselves. These emotional connections give meanings and purpose in life. So it says this type of empath or person also need to learn how to give their time and energy to those who need it the most. So that is um a part of what it is to be a spiritual empath. It can be overbearing. Now, I know some people who, we I'm not too focused on what the naysayers may say or feel. This is not a ploy to convince you to believe anything. As I mentioned, the podcast and YouTube channel is optional and it's for entertainment purposes. So I do understand that some people may say, okay, well, maybe it's just that the person just don't want to be bothered. And that could very well be it too. We all will feel this way at some given time or another. That's life because I feel as though we all are spiritual based, you know. However, it can be overwhelming and overbearing. It's just that simple. Okay. So I am going to conclude this episode on speaking on empath, and I think I'm going to record another episode update on psychic attack and what psychic attack is. Um, when there's a battle for the mind versus a battle for the spirit or soul or the physicality. So I will do that on the next podcast. So to stay tuned for that. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're more than welcome to comment below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.